pre-run mobility and core stability exercise. I'll be going through the mobilisation set in its entirety. I will do one set of the core stability exercises, and then I'll go through the stretch in its entirety at the end. And then right at the end of the video, I'll be going through some progressions for the core stability exercises. So if you didn't find them challenging enough or you want to progress the exercises at a later date, go to the end of the video and the progressions will be there. Let's start. On your back, first of all, equipment. That's quite a handy thing. So I've got a cushion, or you can use a rolled up blanket. That's to go under your head for one of the mobilisation exercises. I've got a weight, and I've also got a step for one of the core stability exercises. So if you haven't got a step you can stand on or a stair you can use, the exercise can be done from the floor, and I'll show you how to do that as well. So on your back. You're going to start lying on your back with your feet ever so slightly apart and your knees apart, and your hands stretched out like a sort of T shape out to the side. And you're going to roll your knees from side to side. So doing this with your feet and your knees slightly apart just gives you a slightly greater range of movement, and you'll get a little bit more of a little stretch in the side of your bum as you go to one side. And then your arms are out to the side, so when you roll in one direction, you're trying to keep the other hand and arm towards the floor as much as possible, and you should hopefully feel a little bit of a stretch in your armpit on the opposite side to where you're rolling. Another way you can do this is you can have your arms up like a cactus. That's a little bit more challenging for your mid-back, and it's a little bit harder to keep your arms pushed down to the ground without stretching into your armpits. So this exercise is opening up your chest, and you're starting to mobilise your hips and your lower back. Do this one for 30 seconds to 1 minute. If your lower back and your hips are particularly tight, then you may want to do it for a little bit longer. This is a nice gentle exercise to start off with, so you can just do it for as long as you want, to be honest. And then the next one, you're going to stay lying on your back. Think about what your back is doing against the floor. So don't let your back arch up off the ground on this one. You want to make sure that your back is gently pushed against the floor. Your core is ever so slightly braced. So I've got my navel pulled down slightly towards the ground, but not aggressively. I can still breathe and talk easily. It's a light engagement of your core. And then I'm going to stretch my arms really high above my shoulders, and I'm going to slide my arms up and down, trying to keep my hands and my elbows in contact with the ground as much as possible. So this exercise is just working to mobilise my shoulders and my mid-back. It's really common to get quite tight shoulders and chest when you run. So this exercise will help to mitigate that. And it will help just to loosen everything up before you start to run. If you struggle with this, don't worry. Even if your elbows are not on the floor, the movement is still good. And over time, hopefully, you should be able to get your arms closer to the ground. And I want you to do 10 to 15 of these. Right, your next one. So this is where you're going to need a cushion or a blanket. That's going to go underneath your head, and you're going to lie on your side. So lying on your side, top leg drops over the other leg at right angles or thereabouts, and I'm going to use my free hand to anchor that knee in place, and I'm going to rotate over like this. So anchoring that knee to the ground means as you rotate, the knee's not coming up off the ground, and by anchoring it in place, it means you're getting a little bit more mobilisation through your mid-back and your chest, which is the aim. So I look at my hand while I'm rotating when I do this. If that's not comfortable for your neck, you can keep just looking straight ahead. That's fine. So if you sit lots or you're carrying small children around, this is a really nice exercise. So if you want to, you can do this for quite a long time. I'm going to do about 10 to 15 on each side though. And then I'll change sides. So again, anchoring that knee in place, arm out in front, and then rotate. So you might find that you've got one side tighter than the other, which I just have. So it's a bit more of a struggle to hold this knee down to the ground. This knee's wanting to come up. So I'll just do a couple more. Good. And then next one, let's get rid of that. So next exercise, You're going to go onto, sorry, I need to retie my hair back. That's just going to really annoy me unless I do this now. Okay, onto all fours. Hands underneath your shoulders, knees underneath hips. We're going to take a few breaths to begin with. So inhale. And as you exhale, I want you to think about drawing your tummy up towards your spine a little bit. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Just helping to get that core just engaged and waking up a little bit. And then from there, you're going to do some cat to cow. Sorry, my iPad's just turned off. There we go. You're going to arch up and then dip down and bring your head up. So it's a little bit more mobility for your back. Just going to go for about 10 of these. And as you're arching up, you can also think about drawing your tummy up ever so slightly as you arch. Let's do a couple more. And then you're going to stay on all fours and do some hip rotations on all fours. I'm just going to go change my angle a little bit so you can see what I'm doing, hopefully. So again, knees underneath hips, hands underneath my shoulders, and I'm going to bring my right leg up, and I'm trying to draw a nice big circle with my right knee. Slow and steady, and I'm trying to bring my knee up as high as I can. So this is a hip mobilization exercise. So you'll be mobilizing your hip on your right side, and what you should hopefully also feel is that your leg on your left side, so your left leg, your glutes, so the muscles around your bum are just starting to burn ever so slightly and waking up. And then change sides. So it serves two purposes. It serves as a core and glute activation exercise as well as a hip mobilization exercise. So I've completely lost count because I can't count to talk at the same time. It's about 10 on each side in each direction. And then change sides. So go to this way. So before I'm starting on this side, I'm just going to brace my core a little bit more. So we have a cat now. Hello. Not helping. Sorry, dear. So again, about 10. A bit more challenging on this side. And then change direction. Again, just trying to draw a nice big circle with my knee, getting my knee out to the side as I rotate. Hello. And then done. So one thing to remember with this exercise, when you're in all fours, it's very tempting when you're moving one leg to lean over onto the other leg. So can't really see it from that position. So what I mean is that leg will sort of, that hip will pop out to the side on the leg that you're supporting yourself on. So think about keeping your hip over your knee the whole time while you're working on the other side. Right, next one. Downward dog with some calf pumps. So you're staying on all fours, going to push up into downward dog. My heels are nowhere near the ground, maybe one day. And you're just going to pump your knee forward. So you're mobilizing your calves and your hamstrings and your Achilles tendons rather than stretching. So what you don't want to do before you run or exercise is to stretch. You want to mobilize first, do your workout, and then you stretch at the end. So just do these until you start to feel that your heels are getting a little bit closer towards the ground. Ankle mobility is really important for running. If your ankles aren't particularly mobile, then other parts of your body will start to suffer. So you're more likely to get knee injuries or hip problems if your ankles aren't very mobile. Next one, we're going to do some leg swings, forward and back and from side to side. I'm going to have to hang on to this. So you need to find something to hang on to. You can hang on to the wall or anything handy really. And you're going to stand up nice and tall, keep your torso upright and swing your leg forward and back. So again, this is hip. And it will also give your hamstrings and your quads and your hip flexors a little bit of a mobilization as well as you're doing it. And then change sides. About 10 on each side is fine. I'm providing a lot of entertainment for this kitten. And then side to side. I'm going to put my back to the camera now, I do apologise. So side to side now. Really important for your glutes, as well as mobilising your hips in different direction. So the beauty of this exercise as well, because you're upright and it's quite dynamic, it will also get your heart rate raised as well. And again, about 10 on each side. So when you're hanging on to something to do this, it's quite difficult not to lean forward. Try and stay as upright as you can. You want all the movement to come through your hip. Don't let your torso take over and start to move to absorb some of the movement. Your hips should be doing the work. Right, next one. Not helping. Street cats, they're great. Right, we're going to move into the core stability workout now. So the focus for these exercises is that they are single arm, single leg exercises. So they are to promote strength against the rotation that you experience when you're running. So running is a series of single leg movements. You're basically always moving from one side to the other. When you do anti-rotation exercises, you're strengthening the side of your body that's working in opposition to the leg that's kind of landing, if that makes sense. So anti-rotation exercises are really good for injury prevention, as well as making your running more efficient. So we're going to start with some step backs. So this exercise is really interesting for me, because I've got one leg much stronger than the other. So I can do this exercise for one leg for about 45 seconds and feel nothing on one side. On the other side, it's instantaneous. So for this one, rather than giving you a time or a number of reps to do, I want you to do this until you start to feel your glutes, the muscles in your bum and your hamstrings, wake up and start to burn slightly. So standing on one leg, you're going to push your hips back. So imagine you've got 2 bags of shopping and you're pushing a car door shut with your bottom. That movement. So you're going to push back. I've got my back nice and flat, looking down at the floor about 1.5 meters in front of my foot. Just get my balance on one leg, and then you're going to do a step back movement. So I've got my hands up to my chest just for comfort. You can have them on your hips if you want to, but this suits me better. And you're lightly stepping back. The idea of this is that this moving leg is providing instability so that my standing leg, my supporting leg, the muscles in that leg have to wake up. It's better to do this barefoot or in socks if you can, because that will encourage some ankle and some foot stabilization as well. I'm just starting to feel my left leg wake up. So I'm going to change sides, reset nice and tall, push back, and then step back on the other side. So this is my stronger leg, it's my dominant leg, and it's also the leg that fatigues really quickly, so I'll wobble around a lot more on this side than the other one. Staring at a fixed point on the floor really helps with balance for this one. Just going to do a couple more. And then done. Right, next one, marches. Single leg marches. This is much more efficient if you can do it holding a weight. So I've got a kettlebell. If you've got any weight at home you can use, then do so. I'm going to do it without, just because the weight gets in the way of my microphone. So pretend I'm holding something. Single leg marches. Before you start to move, just tuck your bum under ever so slightly. So you've got neutral spine, core engaged. Keep that feeling going. And then you're going to march really slowly up and down, flexing your toes as you march from side to side. So it's mimicking a running movement. It's very exaggerated, very slow. This is really good for helping to strengthen your hip flexors as well as your core at the front. And holding a weight will make it more challenging. So about 30 seconds to a minute for this one. Your next one, hip hikes. This is where you need a step, ideally. I'll show you with and without. So the idea of this is it's helping to strengthen the muscles in your glutes. So your glute medius, your glute minimus, your piriformis, this collection of muscles here that are really important for hip abduction, hip flexion and extension, and also provide power to drive off the floor as you stretch, as you run. So both feet flexed, and you're going to drop that foot off the edge of your raised surface and then pull or hike it up again. So you're dropping and then hiking up and down. And do about 10 on each side. So I'll just show you the side. Now a cat into the box. You're providing a lot of entertainment, Moggy. And again, you're going to raise and lower, making sure that you keep the toes on the moving leg flexed. Don't let the toes drop. You want to keep that foot active all the time. And again, doing this in socks or bare feet is much harder, but it's much better for building foot and ankle strength and stability. 10 to 12 on each side for that one. And now you're going to lie on the floor. Okay, right, dead bugs. This is my very favourite core stability exercise in the whole wide world. I think these are absolutely brilliant, these exercises. So you're going to start lying on your back, arms and legs raised. Think about what your back is doing. If it feels like it's raised off the floor, I want you to rotate your hips back and give your core that tiny sort of bracing movement, so a little bit of engagement in your core. So pull your tummy button down ever so slightly, very gentle. And we're going to start arms only. So your legs are going to stay in place. I've got my knees above my hips and my feet at about knee height. And I'm just going to take alternate hand behind my head, really reaching back. So imagine you've got ropes attached to your wrists, and as you reach back behind your head, those ropes are pulling your hands, so you're really extending. So you're going to do a few of those, arms only, and then pull your knees into your chest, rest for a second, and then keep your arms in place, and you're going to do legs only. Now, if that's really challenging for your back and your back isn't staying on the floor, you can regress it slightly by tapping your bent leg down to the ground. And then you're going to rest slightly. The cat is in the window, sorry about that. And then both arms, both legs up, and you're going to try the full alternate arm and leg extension movement. I'm just going to go for 10 of those. So it's really important that as you extend one arm and one leg, this arm stays in place. It's quite common for people to scissor. Don't do that. That arm stays up. And if you're struggling with the coordination of this, then just regress it. Do arms only, do legs only, and then try together until you get the hang of it. It does take a while, but it's worth it. It's worth persevering with. And then you're going to move over onto your front. Excuse me. Oh my God, you two are not helping. Fun. Onto all fours again. You're basically going to reverse that movement. So hands underneath your shoulders, knees underneath your hips. And we're going to go for alternate arm and leg extensions, otherwise known as bird dog. So same principle as dead bug in terms of what's happening to your hands and legs. Really extend your arm and leg when you're extension. Imagine you've got ropes attached to your hands and to your feet. So as you extend, they're being pulled away from your body. And then just watch the height of your arm and leg as well. What you don't want to do is to raise them up too much, which will put your back into flexion and your core won't work as effectively. So make sure that your thumb is no higher than your shoulder and your foot is slightly below the height of your bum at the extension part of the exercise. So 10 of those. And then we're going to go for a side plank. So on your side, make sure that your elbow is directly below your shoulder. You can have your hands spread out on the floor for a bit more support. You're going to rest both knees on the floor and then look along the length of your body, and your heels need to be in line with your hip bone. And then I want you to, before you raise up, I just want you to push your hips forward. So it's like you're tucking your bum under on your side and then push up, keeping that feeling going. So you don't want to let your back arch, so I've got my hips pushed forward, and then just make sure that your shoulder is directly above the other shoulder, so you're not rotating forward or leaning back. Imagine you've got a pole going through your shoulders and a pole going through your hips. And then if you want to, you can raise that arm up, hold for 20 seconds, and then drop down and change sides. So this is the easiest way of doing a side plank. So start with that position. If it feels really, really easy, then there are lots of progressions for this. So again, on your side, heels in line with your hips, push your hips forward, raise up, and then hand up if you want to, making sure you've got shoulders stacked one on top of the other, and you're keeping your hips pushed up. So this is working not only your glutes, so you should feel it working in the side of your bum, but also in your waist as well. So the muscles at the side of your core called your obliques, really important for stabilizing you when you're running. And it's 20 seconds on each side for this. And then drop down. And then you're going to repeat that whole circuit if you have time. So this is entirely dependent on how much time you've got. Even if you only go through the exercises once, it'll still be beneficial. It's not taken a huge amount. How long are we on for this now? So look at my camera. About 20 minutes, and I've been doing a lot of chatting. So this whole workout in total, if you went through the whole thing with 2 rounds of the exercises, should take you about 30 minutes. Right, we're going to move on to some stretching to finish off with. So into child's pose now. So you're going to sit with your knees apart and your feet together, and then roll forward, trying to keep your heel in contact, so your bum in contact with your heels, and then pulling your fingers forward, so you're just increasing the stretch in your back. Hold that for about 30 seconds. Sorry about the cats. Absolutely delightful. And then from there, you're going to bring your hands close to your body, tuck your toes under, and then push up into downward dog again. This time without any movement. So you're just trying to get your hips as high up as you can to the ceiling. Push the heels of your hands into the ground. Really trying to get a good stretch in through your calves and your hamstrings. And then drop down to the floor again. And we're going to go into a pigeon stretch or glute stretch. I'm going to go to a slight angle for this one. So start in a straight arm plank position. Bring your leg underneath you and then slide down. And I want this to be a happy pigeon. So have your foot at a level which is comfortable. So I'm starting with my hand, I'm quite high up, and you can lower down to the ground after a while as well to make it more challenging. And then change sides. So into straight arm plank, leg underneath you, slide down, elbows to the floor. And then if you want to increase the stretch, just lower down. And you should feel the stretch all around this bit of your bum. And then from there, we're going to go to a hip flexor stretch. So come up onto your knees. You're going to put one foot in front of the other, like this. And then you're going to push your hips forward. So a really strong push forward with your hips. Keep that feeling going, and then push forward into this hip flexor stretch. You'll get a much deeper stretch across your hip flexor if your hips are tucked under as much as possible. And then you can increase the stretch by taking both hands down to the floor. And then change sides. Foot forward, tuck your hips under, push forward, keeping that feeling going. And then if you want to increase the stretch, take both hands down to the floor. And then stand up. So these are what we call maintenance stretches. We're not holding them for a particularly long time. They're not massively deep stretches. This is a stretching you can do every day. So the next one's going to be a quad stretch. I won't hold on to anything actually. So stand up nice and tall. Take your heel into your bum. And then you're going to tuck under again. So tucking your hips under, and then just use your own strength to pull that knee back a little bit more, trying not to let your back arch too much. So you're trying to keep your hips pushed forward while you're pulling your leg up behind you, and that should give you a really good quad stretch. Hang on to something as well if you need to. And then change sides. So grab your foot, pull it into your bum, hips forward, use your strength to get your leg back even more and increase the quad stretch. And then release. I'm just going to finish off with a chest stretch. So nice and easy. Take both hands behind your back, and then just try rolling your shoulders back and then pull up and back. I'm just trying to stretch into your chest as much as possible. And then release, do a few big shoulder rolls back, and done. So if you want to do the progressions for the core stability exercises, I'm going to go through them now. Okay. So the progression for the step back is then to take it into a high knee. Do you know what? I'm just going to remove these small ginger animals from... Come on, you lot. You're not helping. Come on. Go on in, you. Bye-bye. Okay, I think someone's tummy alarm's gone off. Right, that's better. Right, so. Lovely. Don't adopt street cats. Okay, step backs with a high knee. So, same position, you're going to push your hips back, that leg nice and strong, step back, and then rather than just doing that step back movement like this, step back, and then you're going to drive up into a high knee. So you'll end up with a bit of a running movement. This is a lot more challenging on your balance and your coordination and your core and your hips and on everything. When you're doing it, I'm not doing a great job of that actually. So change sides, reset, hinge back, step back, and then drive up. I want you to think about doing that with a flexed foot again. Because you're not staring at a fixed spot doing this, it does make it an awful lot more challenging. You can see I've got one leg that functions so much better than the other. So about 10 on each side for this. And it's a really good running drill. It's very hard. And it will also get your heart rate up a bit more than the other one as well. Okay, next one, oh yeah. The next progression does involve a band. If you've got one of these mini bands, then you can do this progression. If you don't, I'll show you another one that you can progress. So band over your feet. Imagine I'm holding the weight to my chest, and you're going to do that marching movement with the band to add resistance. So it's harder work to keep your foot flexed, which helps to strengthen the muscles across your shins, and it means that your hips have to work a lot harder as well. If you don't have access to one of those bands, you can get them out here. I think Decathlon sell them. The other option is to take a weight, camera's not in position, and hold it above your head. So do the marching movement with one arm raised and a weight on one side, and that will also offer you some extra difficulty for this movement. Next one is the hip hike. So that hip hike movement, I won't show you again. It's that one where you're just doing the hiking movement on the step. Hold a weight to your chest. So if you're holding a weight and doing the hip hike movement, you're just putting more weight through your glutes as you're hiking one leg up and down. You can even balance a weight on one shoulder if you want to, but just holding a weight to your chest is enough to make it more challenging. For the dead bugs, there are so many progressions for this. But a nice one you can do is to do it single-sided. So onto your back, arms and legs up, and then extend one side. This makes it more challenging because you're losing a bit of momentum that you get from doing an alternate movement. You're having to hold a position for longer, so your stable side has to hold for longer. And doing it this way, you'll almost feel like you're leaning over to one side a little bit. So you're having to brace against that rotation, which is what an anti-rotation exercise is all about basically. One side is having to get strong to brace and resist rotation on the other side. Next one, alternate arm and leg extensions. So a nice way to make this more challenging is to add a tuck. So extend, tuck, extend, and then change sides. So the tucking movement basically makes you a little bit more unstable. So you're having to balance for a bit longer. And it also makes it a little bit more challenging cardiovascularly as well. So the tuck, extend, and then change on that one. And then for the side plank, There are lots and lots of variations for this. So we've started in the easiest position. When you push up, you can extend one leg, so you can have one leg raised. You can move that leg up and down if you want to. You can have one leg extended and held on the floor as well. And then obviously there's the full side plank, which is quite challenging in bare feet. And that's the most challenging way of doing it, unless you're then raising your feet off the ground. You can have your feet raised on benches, and I'm not showing you all of that. But yeah, that's the progressions. So hopefully you found this video useful. If you have any questions about it, please get in touch. Thanks.